It took me a long time to recognize my biggest weakness was financial acumen. For me, selling always came natural, but I've known for a long time that financial acumen was not my strong suit.
Here I am peer-to-peer with guys who have 50 million, 100 million, $500 million in assets under management. And it inspires me to think at higher realms and to act at higher realms as well.
Why are you playing the video game on hard mode? Like, you don't have to. Somebody's paid the dumb tax for you. You can go seek them out. Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest here. Christion, do you mind describing what you do, who you serve, and how you help the world?
Absolutely. So I'm in real estate in a lot of different ways, but most of my focus these days is we've built a secondaries platform for real estate syndicators to offer liquidity to their passive investors.
Fantastic. Now we are going to talk about seeking out mentors. Here's my quick story. I've probably told this story a million times. I grew my first agency to a very successful sales training business, globalized sales training business that hit a financial wall. And I actually tried to raise capital and or sell my business. And an investor came with the idea of being my mentor. And at first I hated the idea. I was like, no, I just need money. You know, there's this old saying, you ask for money, you get a mentor. You ask for a mentor, you get money, or whatever that saying goes. Well, they said, we won't invest in you, but we'll mentor you through the problem. And thank God they said that, because it actually changed my life. And that was 8 years ago. And I think it was happenstantial that happened to me. I didn't seek it out. But since that, I've had other mentors, and I've been very proactive about looking inward at my gaps or my skills and capabilities and trying to find those around me that can help. So with that, Christion, if you were to start, you're talking now to your friend who's a founder or somebody in your, entrepreneur association group, and they'd had this concept or idea around mentorship, but they don't know where to start. I'm a big believer you have to be self-reflective and understand your why. What questions would you ask them, or what trigger or idea would you plant a seed in their mind for them to recognize it's time to go seek out mentorship?
Well, I don't know if there's ever a time not to seek out mentorship. And so when it comes down to it, it would be, what is the area of your life right now that you're wanting to expand upon? And probably a lot of them say all areas, right? But if there's a specific area of your life, you can go seek out a mentor who's doing better than you. And when I say doing better, meaning somebody that you look up to in that specific area of life.
There's actually a great podcast. So Brad Weimer runs it. And the concept of the podcast is going from 7-figure to 8- and 9-figure businesses. Of course, I'll think about it like in 10 minutes. But long and short, his podcast, he always talks about this. Do not pick people to either partner with or to be an advisor in your business or to be a vendor in your business unless they can empirically prove it that they've been down the very same road. And I think you just kind of mentioned this, is seek out all the things that you know somebody has blazed a path. There's a guy named Greg Alexander that runs something called Collective 54. It's a mentor. It's kind of a networking group for professional services firms. And he talks about paying the dumb tax. And the dumb tax is there are already people that have done what you've done. So why are you playing the video game on hard mode? Like, you don't have to. Somebody's paid the dumb tax for you. You can go seek them out and have them kind of guide you through it. If you mind being vulnerable, what are some of the things that might be a weakness for yourself, might be needs improvement? Where have you been seeking out yourself, and how did you come to that self-reflection?
Well, so first of all, my whole life, I think, my whole adult life has been spawned by mentorship. I figured out that I wanted to be in real estate investing when I was 16, 17 years old. And I sought it out, and I paid for multiple programs. And it wasn't until I found one that actually offered mentorship, somebody that was truly there to connect with me. And I was lucky enough to connect with a gentleman who was making millions of dollars per year. And he took me under his wing, and he didn't do it for me. He didn't give me any money. He didn't, offer me
He taught you
discounts.
how to fish. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I had to pay in, continuously to be in his presence, if you will. But when he saw my eagerness, he invited me to his house. He invited me in on meetings, and he allowed me to be inspired to take bigger actions. And that's the interesting thing about mentorship is when you get around somebody who is at such a higher realm than you are, you also end up being around the other people that they surround themselves with, and it will naturally bring you up. And so more recently, I was brought into a startup from a founder. Our founder sold his company with over $1 billion in assets under management, and he had done over $7 billion worth of commercial real estate in his lifetime. And being pulled into that, now here I am peer to peer with guys who have 50 million, 100 million, $500 million in assets under management. And it inspires me to think at higher realms and to act at higher realms as well.
Where do you think founders get stuck the most? Maybe eating their own dog food or not being self-reflective. Why aren't more founders more willing to have a mentor-mentee relationship throughout their whole life? To your point, I think what you said at the very beginning of the podcast was interesting, which is like, there's not a time. It's just at all times. So that's that's been hard-coded into your DNA. You're looking at your founder friends. How would you advise them to have that same mindset? And why do you think it's not happening?
So why it's not happening, I don't think it's always a choice. I don't think it's necessarily that they're adverse to it per se. I think that as founders, we oftentimes get stuck in that mode of working in the business rather than on the business, and so we're focused on how to move everything forward and the overall vision and making sure that we have the right people in place. We forget sometimes about having those people in place that that have been there, have been further than us, that could probably, as you mentioned before, take the hard mode off and turn on easy mode for some of the things that we're dealing with.
What would you say is some actionable next steps? I'm a founder. I'll give you, for me, it took me a long time to recognize my biggest weakness was financial acumen. For me, selling always came natural. I spent 20 years, I'm transitioning in my current agency from founder-led sales to scaling a sales organization, which is an amazing new transformation. It's like I'm teaching, the very skills that I'm great at. But I've known for a long time that financial acumen was not my strong suit. How would you prescribe to another founder? Here are the step 1, 2, 3 that I would take to get yourself on this right path.
The first thing that I would ask is, do you know anybody, or is there anybody that you know of that has that financial acumen that you look up to, that you admire? Because that's what's going to matter. I think naturally it's hard for us to take advice from somebody that we don't respect and that we don't look up to. And so, and again, it has to be in that specific area of their life as well. We might look up to somebody in their family life, but if, their financial acumen is not there, it's hard to take advice from them in that aspect. So first question is, do you know anybody? And I could give you a real world example for me in my life where I was at a position where it just felt like everything was falling apart. I was, trying to create a family at the time, and I was dealing with, bad real estate transactions. And there was a gentleman that I had looked up to for years. His name is Jeff. He's very wealthy. He lives right here in Utah. And I had never actually had a conversation with him. So I just one day felt inspired to reach out to him on social media. And I just said, listen, I respect you. I would love the chance to learn from you. And pretty soon we were going to lunch pretty consistently. I was getting to know him. I was getting to understand. He was giving me all of this great advice. And it was just because I took the action to ask. And the interesting thing is, I'm going to take you to another aspect of this is oftentimes we think there's nothing that I could do for this person. And that's the best way to get a mentor is to serve them. But if they don't have any specific needs, how do we serve them? I think by showing that we look up to them, to showing that they are living an inspired life, an inspiring life, I should say, that alone oftentimes brings value. But also I knew, for example, with Jeff, more recently, his birthday was coming up, and it was a big birthday. We had, we're creating this event where we had hundreds of people there to celebrate his birthday. What do you get for somebody who literally he sold his company for over $100 million in his early 30s, and has since built out hundreds of thousands of square feet of commercial real estate. He doesn't have any financial needs. He could buy whatever he wants, right? Well, I remembered in a conversation where Jeff had shared with me, this is my most prized, I'm going to call it possession. I don't think that's the word he used, but this is my most prized possession. And it happened to be something that had to do with his faith, right? So there was a certain a title that he had held within his faith. And, you could trace that back up the line. And so what I did was he had shared that to me in a text message. And I took that and I created it into something. I went to a trophy shop. I've been able to, build an amazing relationship with a trophy shop. And I created something that was custom for him that nobody else had, that emphasized this priesthood that he held within his faith. Even though I'm not of the same faith, I knew how much it would mean to him. And, that's just a little tidbit. I know it's off topic of what you asked, but oftentimes we don't think of those things, and we don't know what value we can bring. But the best value you can bring is paying attention to what's important to them, and then helping to, I guess, build upon it and recognize their achievements there.
This is fantastic advice. If people want to connect with you to learn about your mindset, skill set toolkit on mentor relationships, how do they get a hold of you?
So I am really easy to find if you can spell my name correctly. So my name is Christion, Christion, and that's probably all you need, but I'll give you my last name as well, which is Sadler, Sadler. So if you can spell Christian with an ION and then Sadler with one D, you are almost guaranteed to find me.
And if you are dyslexic, you will land on Christian Slater on the internet. Exactly.
I've been called that from stage multiple times.
Fantastic. Great pleasure meeting you. And thank you so much for these insights. A lot of founders, I think, are reluctant, or they know they need a mentor. They just need the push over the cliff. So this is great.
Yeah. Send the message, even if you feel weird. Just, again, sharing that they inspire you is likely to at least spark a conversation.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jamie.